Hello and welcome to Tech Deals. Star Wars Jedi Survivor has released, and today we are taking a first look at performance. So much has been said about this game. It's playable, it's not playable, it's trash, it's great. We're going to take a look at this on a very modest video card. Prior to this game's launch, there were rumors that an RTX 4090 would not be able to run this game at 60 frames per second at 1440p with all the details cranked to the max. Now, to be fair, we do not have all the details cranked to the max. We are at high detail, not ultra detail. We are, however, at 1440p. We do have FSR2 Turn 2 performance mode, and we are getting about 60 frames per second. But instead of an RTX 4090 or 4080 or 4070, we are on an RTX 3050. And some of you may be going, wait, why? Why are you testing this on a 3050? And why is a 3050 on an i9-13900K? Stay tuned. I will answer all those questions and more. But before we get to that, please give me 60 seconds to help pay the bills. I will be right back. Buy Windows 10 Professional for $15, activate instantly online with Microsoft, and keep it forever. Don't pay full price. Get the best deal from our sponsor, URCD Keys, using our link in the video description below. Full details on how this amazing deal works at the end of the video. Thank you all for sticking with me. Before we go any further, I want to show you the exact detail settings that were used for this benchmark. Here you can see we're full screen at 1440p, high detail preset. The only change we made is we turned off VSync, turned off ray tracing, and set FSR2 to performance mode. That's important because with FSR off or in quality mode, frame rates dip down into the 30s and 40s. It really makes a big difference. What it also means is that you can't really, at native resolution, run this game at 1440p on an RTX 3050. However, having said that, the visual quality is very good, and unless you actually take screenshots and look at them side by side, it's hard to tell the difference unless you're a real stickler for those details. Now, I do not recommend anybody go out and buy an RTX 3050. If you're looking for something at that price point, the RX 6600 XT or RX 6700 XT would be a way better investment. If you want to spend some more, a 3060 would be a better investment, although it really wouldn't be in 2023. That ship has sailed. But if you do have a 3050 or equivalent, maybe you have an RTX 2060, for example, or even a 1070, then you can totally play this game at 1440p if you're okay to turn some details down or FSR on. If you look at the CPU usage, you will notice it is extremely low. This graphics card is absolutely the limitation here, and it's why we can't get any more usage on the CPU. My son, you've seen him over on Tech News Network Junior Deals, he has an i9-13900K at home as well, but he has an RTX 3090. He plays at 1440p, and his CPU usage was notably higher. Of course, his frame rate was also notably higher. He has 144 Hz monitors, and so he was playing at close to 144 frames per second, so the CPU usage goes higher as the frame rate goes up as well. Power consumption, we're using less than 50 watts of power on the CPU because the CPU is hardly being used. That's kind of how it works. A lesser CPU will absolutely do this. Honestly, an i5-12400F with an RTX 3050 would be fine, but an i5-12400F with an RTX 3090 would not. And this is something that way too many people are missing. Whenever I see people ask a question, well, can I upgrade to this graphics card? Or is this a good graphics card to use? But they don't mention the CPU, or they don't say what CPU they're going to buy. Your CPU and your GPU need to increase together. The nicer one goes, the nicer the other goes. I legitimately had somebody the other day ask below one of my i7 7700K benchmarks if I thought that he could play games at 4K with an RTX 4090 on a 7700K. Now, to be clear, he didn't say 7700X. We're not talking about Zen 4 here. The i7 7700K Kaby Lake CPU from 2016, 4 cores, 8 threads, with a $1,600 2023 video card. How about no? Yeah, that is a terrible idea for like all the reasons. But I get asked that question, I think because there's this underlying idea that quote unquote CPU doesn't matter. Well, CPU doesn't matter if you have a lower end graphics card, and if you're looking for 60 frames per second, and if you're not demanding the best and smoothest gameplay in all games. But if you do have a high-end graphics card, if you have a high refresh rate monitor, or you want to multitask, you have multiple monitors, you have multiple things going on at once. My son, for example, has 3 1440p monitors at home, not just one. That does kick up his usage, to be fair. He's not single tasking. Then you need more CPU. So some people are absolutely totally fine with an i5-12400, and other people absolutely should buy an i9-13900K. It depends upon your use case. I do want to draw attention to the amount of main system RAM we're using. This is a clean test bench. This is an absolutely clean machine. It's being recorded on an external computer using a hardware capture card. This machine doesn't even know that it is being recorded. The only things running on here are the EA app, yuck, and then MSI Afterburner is providing the statistics up in the upper left-hand corner, and then of course the game itself is running. Nothing else is running. Everything in the task tray has been closed. This is a fresh install of Windows 11 on this computer. It was just put together a few months ago. This is as clean gets. We are using 15 gigabytes of RAM, and that is the active RAM use, not the standby or disk cache. If this system had 16 gigs of RAM, would it work? Yes. Would it be as smooth? No. What you would find is that level load times would take longer, transitions, quick travel would take a bit longer. There'd be a few more micro stutters. If you're truly single tasking, it wouldn't be that bad, but the minute you have an actual computer with actual things running, even if you go, well, I don't have multiple monitors, I'm not doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, but you actually have programs running and installed. You have things in the task tray. Unless you're truly old school and you remember the Windows 3.1 and Windows 95 days where you literally had to shut everything down to be able to simply play a game at all, most people today, I think, have dirtier machines than this. 32 gigabytes of RAM is absolutely where you should be. And there's just no excuse to be playing AAA games such as this one in 2023 without 32 gigs of RAM. 64 would not be crazy. Now, again, my son has 3 1440p monitors. He is multitasking. He has Chrome tabs open. He's watching a Twitch stream or a YouTube video on a monitor while he's playing the game. It is not the same thing. However, he was using 40 gigabytes of system RAM. Not just allocated, but actually that's what MSI Afterburner was reporting when he was playing Star Wars Jedi Survivor on his machine at home. Not a clean test bench. Other stuff was running. But 64 gigs of RAM for a machine with multiple monitors, absolutely where you should be today. 32 gigs if you're just playing games. Now let's talk about why an RTX 3050 is really here, because to be completely blunt, that was not the intention. I did not set this up and benchmark it to test a 3050. Very few of you have a 3050. It was never a good deal. We reviewed it. I eviscerated it at the time. I've covered it multiple times since. It's a terrible value for the money. The reason it's here is because I was updating the test bench while my son was doing some benchmarks on our i9-10900K test bench. We have 4 different test benches. We have a i9-13900K, i9-10900K, a Ryzen 9 5950X, and a Ryzen 9 7950X. Now those can of course have the CPU swapped out for all the various chips that support them, and I've got a whole stack of CPUs that we've been sent over the years. Some we bought, some we got sent. But those are the 4 main test benches: 2 Intel, 2 AMD, the older LGA 1200 platform, and the newer LGA 1700, of course AM4 and AM5. Now I was updating this computer because it hadn't been updated. It didn't have Jedi Survivor downloaded. The video drivers needed to be updated to the latest version. And so I grabbed an RTX 3050 because my son, at the moment, was testing the RTX 4070 over on our i9-10900K test bench. And I thought, okay, well, I'll just grab a 3050. It's small, compact, easy to drop in here, and the drivers are basically the same. It's the same install. I will get the machine updated and ready to go. That way, he can start benchmarking this with the 4070. We'll just swap the cards over. I only have a single 4070, so we kind of have to play musical graphics cards. When I went to try to do that, I got an error message from Electronic Arts' lovely DRM that said, Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been attempted to be activated on too many different machines. And so basically you can only do so many configurations in a day. And changing video cards counts as one of those. Changing CPUs counts as one of those. And I have, of course, several platforms and test benches, and we had used up all of our allocations. And so I had the choice. I could either wait a full day and then we could switch to the 4070, or we could test what we had. Since this was launching and working with the RTX 3050, but it was not launching and working with the RTX 4070, I kind of looked at my son and I said, well, I guess our audience is getting a 3050 benchmark. Now, it is our intention to follow this up with a proper series of tests using a 4070, using an RX 6700 XT, using the new RX 6900 XT. Those are the cards I know you guys want to see. This is not the card you want to see. However, Electronic Arts sucks, and so their DRM sucks, Denuvo sucks, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Denuvo is the DRM that comes with this game. It comes with way too many of these games. Yes, I should probably just pirate the thing. I know, piracy is illegal and everything, but, screw EA. DRM stops the honest from being able to use their games and their computer the way they want to. Pirates have been breaking this stuff since this was on punch cards. If you want some fun, go Google Microsoft Bill Gates open letter to pirates. This is a long time ago. I mean, we're talking like before MS-DOS existed, before the PC existed, back when Microsoft was just writing BASIC for other computers. This is an old problem that is just not going away, and the fact that these companies spend so much time and effort fighting it. Look, the reason I have Star Wars Jedi Survivor, I pay the $100 a year to get EA Play Pro. So I didn't buy the game, I didn't have to, because I have a subscription to EA Play Pro. I don't mind paying for my software. People with money would rather just, okay, here's a few bucks, I could launch my launcher, I can play my game, I don't have to go any weird sites, I don't have to do any strange things or hacks or edit something, I don't have to worry about viruses and downloading crap, I could just look, fine, here's my $100 a year, let me play some cool games, it'll be great. Oh, no, sorry, you're a paying customer? You suck, we're going to put restrictions on you, even though other people are playing the game without those restrictions. So, yeah. Okay, that's off topic, but I'm sure at least a few of you have felt those frustrations in the past. Interestingly enough, anybody remember Napster? This is more than 20 years ago at this point, but Napster was a way to, the TLDR version is Napster was a way people shared music. They shared audio files, MP3s. And of course, it was totally illegal. It was totally piracy, but people shared their files online and people listened to music, and that was great until they got sued into oblivion. And then there were various attempts to monetize music, most of which failed. There was iTunes, which was moderately successful, and there was a few others. But when they removed the DRM, it exploded. iTunes removed the DRM from music, and then Amazon came along and had their music and both streaming as well as you could just buy digital copies of MP3s. I will be completely blunt. 20 years ago, I might or might not have downloaded MP3s from not legitimate sources online. I haven't done that in 20 years. You know what? I buy my music. I have an Amazon Music subscription. I pay my $7 a month or whatever it is to Amazon Unlimited Music to get 50 million songs or whatever it is, streaming to all of my devices. I can stream to my car, my phone, my Amazon Echo devices in the house. I never even have to think about it. I can literally call out almost anywhere I am between my phone, my car, and my house, play this, and it starts playing. And I don't care. And the cost is a Starbucks a month. And it works on all the devices and all my family get to use it. That is how you get rid of piracy. Music companies, movie companies, game developers, make your product at a reasonable price and accessible to your customers, and nobody will bother. And the few people who do bother were never going to buy anyway because they didn't have the money. 15-year-olds who are stealing your product are not thieves. They don't have any money. 47-year-olds, which is what I am, are happy to pay for the product. Big apology for that huge rant. Maybe I just had to get that off my chest. It was extremely frustrating trying to get this running and dealing with error messages. So, moving on. Main system RAM usage we've already talked about. VRAM usage is interesting. We've got 7 gigabytes of VRAM usage on an 8 gigabyte card. Now, this is a 1440p. This is high detail. Now, FSR is on, but FSR is probably not tremendously affecting that because it's still ultimately rendering at a higher resolution. So there you go. 8GB cards still work at 1440p, but not for much longer. If you really want to play at 1440p, a 12GB card is basically the minimum I'd recommend if you're buying something today. 16 gigs is better. I think an RX 6800 for under $500 is a tremendous value for the money if you're looking for something about $500. And it's very similar in performance to the new RTX 4070. Now, it doesn't have DLSS 3, it doesn't have frame generation, it doesn't have really good ray tracing. It's got okay ray tracing. It would be fine for Jedi Survivor. Jedi Survivor does not have tremendously... This is an AMD-sponsored title. This game was actually available free with AMD 7000 generation Zen 4 CPUs from like January to April this year. And so many of you got this game for free, even if you're not members of EA Play Pro. Which means, of course, the game has AMD's FSR and not DLSS. There's no DLSS. There's ray tracing, but it's basically turn it on, turn it off. There's not much to it. This game was really designed with the consoles in mind. And, of course, the consoles have RDNA 2 graphics on board. Think RX 6600, 6700 level cards. And so if you have an RX 6700 XT, 1440p should be very, very nice, even at ultra detail. We will test that. I promise you the 6700 XT is high on my list. That is a wonderful, wonderful card. And right now you can get one for just over $300, which, holy smokes, that is amazing performance for a brand new $300 12GB card in 2023. Move up the 6000 series if you want, or go to the 7900 XT. And if you go NVIDIA, well, NVIDIA's pretty cool. They just charge for it. Now, this video has gone on long enough, so I'm just going to ask you guys to leave your comments down in the comment section below. What CPU, GPUs do you want to see this tested on? At the moment, I'm thinking of 4. Ryzen 7 2700X, Ryzen 7 5700X, i9 9900K, i9 13900K, but with a better video card. And I may do them all with the same video card. I may do a couple up and down on the video cards. So, for example, with a 2700X, a GTX 1070 seems appropriate to me. I could do a 1080 Ti, but a 1070 or a 1080 Ti seem appropriate for a Ryzen 7 2700X. After all, if you have 4070 money, you really should be upgrading. Should you put a 4070 on that? Probably not. I could test the 4070 on it, but remember, everything we test takes time. So the question is, do you want a video out in 2 days or 5 days? Because, well, I can only test so many configurations because I only have one copy of this game. As far as the i9 9900K, we could do the 10900K, but I actually think a 9900K, which actually isn't a test bench at this point, it's a standalone PC, it's my old PC repurposed, but a 9900K I think is far more common and far more widely owned and widely used than the 10900K. Let me know what you think about that in the comments below. The 5700X is an absolute must upgrade for anybody who's on an older system. And I'm almost inclined not to test the 2700X because what I want to say is if you have a Ryzen 7 2700X in 2023 and you're using it to play Star Wars Jedi Survivor, for all that is good and holy in the world, why have you not replaced it with a 5700X? You can sell your 2700X for about $80 to $90. You can buy a 5700X for about $180 to $190. For $100, you can upgrade. You go from 2 4-core chips glued together via Infinity Fabric to a single 8-core CCD, no quad-core latency. You go from Zen Plus to Zen 3. The clock speed increases, the IPC increases, the overall system responsiveness is noticeably better. Please upgrade. The 5700X is a tremendous value, and many of you could use one for the next 3 years without any complaints. Yes, I love cores. Yes, faster CPUs are faster, but if money isn't all an issue, I am a huge fan of the 5700X. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Like, comment, subscribe, and do all of the things. I look forward to seeing your comments down below. We're going to try to shift a bit and do less content like the old stuff we have in the past. Yesterday's video was Assassin's Creed Syndicate. I love Syndicate. That video actually had a really good message in it, but not that many people watched it because, as my son pointed out to me, about 8 people in the world, one of them being me, care about Assassin's Creed Syndicate. So I should test newer games and not older games. To which I said to him, great, what newer game would you like to test? Hogwarts Legacy? Elden Ring? Something else? So we're going to give that a try. Hopefully we'll see how well this video does. I will see all of you next time. Looking for a Windows 10 or 11 product key, but you don't want to spend $100 to $200 for it? Our sponsor, URCD Keys, provides discounted Windows keys at amazing prices. $15 for Windows 10 Professional, $21 for Windows 11 Professional, and just $60 for Microsoft Office 2021 Professional Plus. These product keys are the real deal. They activate directly with Microsoft Online, link to your Microsoft account, and they work forever. For Windows, you simply go to Settings, Update and Security, Activation, click Change Product Key, paste the key provided by URCD Keys, and in seconds, you're activated with Microsoft. For Office, go to setup.office.com, sign in with your Microsoft account, paste the product key provided by URCD Keys, and then download Office 2021 Pro Plus directly from Microsoft. Remember to use the discount code TD20 to save 25% off the already deeply discounted prices and support our channel at the same time. We have been using product keys from URCD Keys for almost 5 years now without any issues and encourage you to do so as well.